Welcome back. Today we're talking about something that will change the way you understand your thoughts, your beliefs, and the stories you've lived under your entire life. We're talking about truth and illusions. This is one of the most eye-opening concepts you'll ever learn. Because most of the emotional pain you carry today didn't come from truth, it came from illusion your mind created when you were hurt, afraid, overwhelmed, or confused. Let's break this down gently and clearly. Let's talk about what an illusion actually is. An illusion is a belief, a story, or an interpretation you created during a moment of fear, of emotional overwhelm, long before you had the emotional intelligence to understand what was really happening. Illusions often sound like, I'm not good enough, I'm always going to be left behind, people don't care about me, I'm a burden, I'm too much, I can't trust anyone, something is wrong with me. These are real, these are true, but they are not truth of who you are. Illusions come from childhood moments you didn't understand, trauma, rejection, emotional neglect, misunderstanding, fear, generational program. Your mind created these stories to protect you, but now those same stories are limiting you. Healing begins the moment you start believing every thought that shows up. Let's talk about how truth and illusions feel different. Your body knows the difference between truth and illusion before your mind does. Here's how. Truth looks like peace, clarity, lightness, calm, understanding, expansion, relief, freedom. Truth will stretch you sometimes, but it will always bring you peace afterwards. Illusions feel like tightness, anxiety, guilt, shame, heaviness, fear, confusion, emotional contraction. If a belief creates panic, pain, or pressure, it's almost never true. Your nervous system can feel the difference. Let's talk about how we know if something is true or not. So, this is what I teach my clients. If you believe in God or a higher power, ask, how does God speak to me? Would God speak to me this way? Does this thought feel like peace, clarity, or truth? I always tell my clients, think back to a moment you felt like God was speaking to you. And most of the time, and actually all the time, when we break it down, we talk about it, they say, well, it feels light, it feels joyful, it feels peaceful, I have clarity, I feel comforted, I feel warm, fuzzy inside, all those feelings. And the scriptures tell us exactly how truth feels. In 1 Corinthians 14:33, it says, for God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. John 8:32, and he shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And something I tell my clients, if you believe in God, God cannot speak through negative feelings and emotions, and he can't speak through peace also. And the reason why is because that would create chaos. You wouldn't know him. You wouldn't know, how do I discern if this is from God or if this is from something else? Because it could come from any direction, and God is not a God of chaos. It says that if you believe in God and you use the scriptures, it says that in the scriptures. God is not a God of chaos. Rather, he's a God of truth. He's a God of light. He's a God of peace. And so he can only speak and communicate to you in the same way. He cannot speak to you in the opposite way. So truth equals peace, truth equals clarity, truth equals freedom, not chaos, not fear, not shame. If you're not religious, the principle is the same. Truth brings freedom, illusion brings fear. Just think about back in a time in your life, a memory or a moment of when you knew something was true without a shadow of a doubt. How did that feel? It probably felt freeing. It probably felt clarity. You probably felt warm or a sense of understanding and a sense of freedom because now you know the truth. And you will feel this way whether the truth is a good truth or maybe not a good truth. And the reason why is because you will have understanding, you will have clarity, and you will be able to know what is going on around you. And that in itself will bring a sense of peace to you. So simple, your body will always tell you when something is not true by the way it makes you feel. This is so crucial and so important that you understand, because this is how you start to discern and get rid of evaluate. This is how you start to get rid of and discern what is true and what is not true. So you need to remember this concept and always return back to it, because it is going to really make a difference in helping you to have freedom in your life. Let's say you have a belief system or a story you don't quite know how to discern and you're stuck. Let's talk about the 4 questions to ask yourself to break any illusion. So when you feel stuck in a belief or fear or any emotional story, use these 4 questions. The first one is this thought true? If you had to live with this belief forever, would you honestly answer yes or no to that question? Question number 2, can you absolutely be sure that this is 100% true without a shadow of a doubt? Like, you can be factual and know this is true. Most beliefs fall apart right here. So important to ask this question. The third question, how do you react when you believe this thought? Does it bring peace or pain? Does it help you grow or shut down? This is a super important question to ask, and the reason why is because if it is of truth, like we just discussed, it will enlighten you. It will move you into a peaceful place, and it'll help you do things in a peaceful way. Question number 4, who would you be without this thought? Imagine yourself free from it. What changes? What opens up? Going through these 4 questions helps your mind loosens its grip on the old illusions that aren't serving you anymore. Now we're going to go over the turnaround method. This part is super important. When you try to let go of a belief, your mind may resist. You can't release something you're still fighting. So the turnarounds help soften that resistance. You will use these 3 statements. I'm willing to, I'm okay with, and I look forward to. Insert the belief you're struggling with in these phrases. For example, let's say you have a fear or a belief of I'm not safe. The turnarounds that you would say to this is I'm willing to feel the fear that I'm not safe, or I'm willing to feel that I'm not safe. I'm okay feeling the fear that I'm not safe, or I'm willing to feel that I'm not safe. I look forward to feeling that I'm not safe. And by this point, as you can tell, I'm starting to smile, I'm starting to kind of laugh. And the reason why is because by the time you get to the third one, it sounds ridiculous. You're like, why would I look forward to feeling I'm not safe, right? And when you can laugh and you can smile about it, it shows that the resistance on it is starting to release. That's the point. We want you to be like, well, that sounds ridiculous, because that's literally what you're doing inside your mind. You are literally telling yourself that you feel this way and you need to feel this way to be safe. You need to have this fear of not being safe so you can keep yourself safe. And literally, that sounds ridiculous when you start saying it out loud. I'm looking forward to feeling that I'm not safe. And that sounds ridiculous. But the reality is you're literally going to feel like you're not safe because it's your safety mechanism you've created in your brain to help you stay safe. And this is founded on things that are not true. You don't have to want the belief. You're not agreeing to it. You're just releasing the resistance to it. And once the resistance drops, healing becomes possible. This next principle is super important to understand and grasp. And that is life is heaven until we believe a story that isn't true. I want you to remember this. Life is heaven, except for the moment we attach ourselves to a story we haven't investigated yet, a story not founded on truth. When you cling to illusion, you create inner chaos. You disconnect from peace. Your mind works against you instead of for you. You interpret everything from pain instead of clarity. But when you question your beliefs, when you check them through against truth, when you use the 4 questions and the turnarounds, you take your power back. You stop living through illusions and you return to emotional freedom. This is why it's so important to remember the concept that we talked about at the very beginning of how do we know something is true by the way it makes you feel. This is so important to understand. This is so important to internalize. This is so important to apply because this is literally what is going to help you to be like, whoa, hold up. This is not bringing me joy. This is not bringing me peace. And this is not helpful. And it's not joyful. And if that's the case, this is probably not 100% founded on truth. And if it's not 100% founded on truth, I'm not going to entertain it as truth. And when you can do that, you take power back into your life because you detach from it. You stop defining yourself by it. You stop defining it as truth and as your reality. This concept is so huge. If you can do this, you can take power back into your life and you can start to see and realize big changes in your life and have so much freedom in your life. Now in closing, as you move into the next part of this course, I want you to stay curious. Notice the thoughts that don't feel peaceful. Notice the beliefs that make you shrink instead of expand. Notice the stories that create fear instead of clarity. Those stories are illusions, and now you have the tools to challenge them, understand them, and release them. You're not meant to live weighed down by emotional lies. You're meant to live in truth, the kind that brings freedom, peace, and clarity. You're doing amazing, and let's just keep going on this process.